Hello and welcome to this episode of Wise Human. Thank you so much for being here today. Today we have a solo episode with me, your host, Nicole Dreon. This is an unintentional solo episode, I will say, because I had multiple interviews lined up last week that all, for some reason or another, had to reschedule. And today I was going to record to release tomorrow, and the person didn't show up. He just didn't show up. I'm sure there's a valid reason, but here we are because I am committed to delivering an episode, a valuable episode, every other week. I want consistency. I made that commitment to myself and to you. So here we are. And it's a gift, really, that this is happening. So it's allowing me to speak to you about multiple things and share with you. And the biggest thing is that the universe is always communicating to us and guiding us in the direction of our highest expression. Doesn't always feel like that, right? So when this happened, like all these podcasts are rescheduled. And then today I'm like, okay, well, we have this one will go out tomorrow. And then he doesn't show. I could get frustrated, but I kind of just find it ironic and funny because I've been getting these messages for a while now that I'm supposed to share more solo, more of my journey, more of my experience, more of my what I've learned along the way, right? Like that's what Wise Human's about, is sharing our authentic human experience and what we've learned along the way to inspire and empower others to live their best lives. Like we're all in this together. And the more we can be open about our human experience, vulnerable, especially about the messy pieces of us, the more we empower others to do the same, to know that they're not alone, to know that they can make it through. It can be a roadmap. But the biggest thing is like just being seen. So I digress there. Um, I love this podcast. I love you guys. I'm so grateful and thankful to have this space. So I'm going to talk about the universe redirecting and guiding. But first, to understand and for me to really speak to that, I think I need to explain to you what the universe means to me when I say the word the universe. Growing up, I was baptized Catholic, started going to catechism. My parents divorced, so we were shunned from the church, right? Because, well, you're a sinner, you're not allowed, you're not holy, we don't want you. So we left the church and went to some non-denominational churches a little bit, like Christian churches as a kid here and there, on and off. Went to church camp with my friend, who I believe is Free Methodist. When I was in high school, it was super fun. She was amazing, actually, this friend, Becca. She was great because she didn't ever push religion on me, but if I had questions, she would answer. And I had this very like block with God because why am I not good enough? Like my parents divorced, but you don't want us now. So that just didn't sit well with me. Like we're supposed to be open and accepting and community based, but when somebody's really in a time of need, they don't check all your boxes, so they're out. And then I had one other experience as well when I was a kid. The neighbors across the street were a religious family. And I remember talking with one of them like very vividly. It was a summer day. I had shorts and a t-shirt on, tennis shoes, standing in front of our mailbox. And my neighbor, who her name was also Nicole, actually, she's a couple years younger, we're standing in front of my mailbox talking. And she's like, oh, yeah, you're going to smoke. My mom says you're going to smoke because you guys don't go to church. And I was just so blown away. I was like 11, 12, maybe 10. I don't know. I was young. And I just remember being like, that's messed up. Like, just because I don't subscribe to your religion, I'm going to be a quote unquote bad kid. So those were my two experiences: being rejected from the church when my parents separated, and my friend and neighbor's parents thinking I'm going to fuck up because I'm not a part of the church. However, when I was a child, I think we learned about Native Americans in elementary school, and I remember really resonating with them. And truthfully, I actually don't know. I don't know where I learned about Native Americans, but I always resonated with their spirituality and the connection to all that is, to the earth, to each other since I was a kid. I truly don't know where that comes from. I don't know if it's a past life or something, because nobody in my family believes that stuff or like talked about it. I must have learned it in some lesson somewhere at school, but it's very, I have no idea where it came from. But that always really resonated with me. And I've always had a strong, deep connection to nature. And then as I got older, I was exposed to Eastern religions, and those started to make some sense to me. I never dove fully into any of them. I've never subscribed to one specific religion. I've kind of always just taken bits and pieces that work for me and spirituality. So then, years later, going and living in Bali for a while, and just really being immersed and surrounded by spirituality. It's such a spiritual place. The locals are, every family has a temple in their family compound. Every town or like neighborhood has their own temple. Every city has an even larger temple. And families are out making offerings multiple times a day. Businesses are making offerings multiple times a day. And it's just, you can feel it in the air. I remember when I landed there, I'm going on a tangent, but I'm just going to say this one thing. I remember when I landed there and walking through the airport, it smelled like incense. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm in the right place. Okay, let's do this. So, Bali was important because it healed my connection with God, with my understanding of God and my resentment towards the word God and this almighty being. When I was there, I signed up for a theta healing course to become a certified theta healer. And I did 2 weekends, the like traditional base and then the advanced theta healer certificate. And of course, while we were doing this, it was like, I think it was 3 days, 2 or 3 days, intensive, full days, full long days. And we were both facilitating healing for the other people in the course and receiving healing from the other people in the course. And one of the sessions that I had, God came up. And in that session, I became angry with God and like had this conversation with God. And that so much is unfair. And this is really interesting. I should go back and read my journals because I don't remember exactly the details of it, but I know coming out of that session, I know in the session I was angry. I was angry and that came up. And then by the end of the session, I had acceptance and made peace with the word God. And that's where my whole idea and belief that it's all the same thing. Again, God, source, Allah, like Buddha, whatever your highest self, spirit source, it's all the same thing. It's just packaged in a different way for different people to receive it. It is energy. There is something greater than us. That's what I truly believe. So on the same note, I believe that I'll call it the universe because that's what I use most commonly. The universe is always looking out for guiding us. I believe the universe is always looking out for us and guiding us. The universe will literally make my cell phone stop working when I'm not supposed to be in communication with other people. The universe will do this when I'm supposed to go inward. And it's happened numerous times in my life where I'm like, I really want to reach out. I want to like connect with somebody, or I want to work through this with somebody. Like I just feel like I have a lot going on and I want some support. Well, nobody shows up. Well, I'm not even able to connect with anybody, to ask anybody to show up. So that's my invitation from the universe to go inward and to support myself, to sit with myself, to be in the feels, to self soothe. And so I do. And I say that with a smile on my face right now. It is not always easy. Sometimes I'm fucking pissed. Sometimes I'm angry. Like I have to cry about it. Which crying for me is like a great release. But yeah, it's crying, it's journaling, it's getting up and doing the thing I don't want to do. If my space is really messy, like cleaning my space, putting my feet on the earth, going outside. But today's situation, the universe gives you signs. What does that mean? What does that look like? For me, it was I need to do this solo episode. I need to start stepping into sharing more of myself, what I know, what I have learned in my 15 years, 20 years of self discovery and going through the gamut of everything, like trying all the different healing modalities, dealing with depression, anxiety, like just all of it, traveling across the world, crying my eyes out because I regret a decision that I made, but it always working out. And it's time for me to step into that. So the universe said, I'm going to make it really fucking hard for you to continue on the path that you're on. I'm going to make it very easy for you to sit down and do your solo episode and open that door. Because once you do the one, you're going to continue because it's coming. I've known that this is coming. I just need to open the door. How does the universe communicate with you? Multiple ways, but I think the biggest way is the inner knowing, the little voice that you hear in your head. The intuition is 100% a direct line to source, to the universe, God. That is your direct communication. So it can come through as just a knowing, right? Like, here's an example for me. I was on Bali. My sister was visiting me. We actually went to Gili Tea, I think. We were in Gili Tea. And then her and her friends who were visiting, they left, and I went over to Gili Air by myself. Nothing planned. Literally get off the boat with my backpack on and just start walking. Like, I have to find somewhere to stay tonight. And so I'm walking and I see this little um this wood fence, actually not little, it was pretty tall. And at the top there was this little sign that was kind of like a name plaque on a door in an office, right? It was like about that big, maybe double that, hanging near the top of this fence and said, like, rooms this way. It was painted. And it was literally no clue where I'm going. Like, turn left there. Something told me to turn here. So I did. And these tall fences kind of had to zigzag around through these wood slat fences, couldn't see anything on either side, and kept following it. And then came to this green space that had these little bungalows with decks on the front, like thatched roofs and hammocks hanging. This is exactly what I wanted. Like, exactly what I wanted. And I found it just from following my intuition. And so you can think about when intuition has come through in your life. Maybe it is go to this store, not that store. And then you run into a friend, or you meet the man of your dreams, or you buy a lotto ticket. Like, there's so many times when we follow our intuition that things just happen for us because there's a reason we're being guided there. So it comes through your intuition, which is just like an inner knowing. It could be a little voice that you hear in your head too. And it doesn't go away. It's going to keep kind of nagging at you until you listen. But here's the thing, if you don't listen, it's like this, right? Like my situation, I haven't been listening. So things are getting canceled. Things are not aligning until I do this. And I guarantee you, once I release this episode tomorrow, not one person is going to cancel that I have lined up. The numerous interviews I have lined up, not one's going to cancel. And I'll probably start booking like double the interviews because I'm showing up in the way I'm supposed to be showing up. I'm pushing through, I'm doing the thing. It is incredible what happens when you listen to your intuition. But when you don't, it gets louder and louder and louder, and that can turn into distressing situations, right? Because if you're getting that little knowing and you're not and you listen, amazing, awesome. It's going to get louder in the future and it's going to be easier to listen and trust because each time it's building a muscle, right? Each time that you listen to your intuition and you see what the result is and it's a good outcome, it's something that's taking you where you want to be, it's teaching you something, you're growing within it, you're going to be more likely to act the next time. And the more you act, the closer your connection is with your intuition, the easier it is to listen, to understand. Your intuition is going to reach out to you more because it knows you're going to listen, right? But if you don't listen, if you do not listen, and it's something that really needs to happen, that whisper is going to turn into a projected voice and then into a scream and like then into a punch in the face. And the punch in the face, you do not want to get to the punch in the face because that's like you lose your job. And that's not even that big of a deal. You get in a car accident and you're in the hospital. Your marriage ends, your house burns down. Like big life changing things that force you to make the change. The universe is always looking out for us, it's always guiding us and taking us to the next best thing for us, whatever that is. It might not always feel beautiful or fun or like the right path, but sometimes we have to go through the muck, just like the lotus flower, right? Go through the muck to get to the sun, to get to where we need to be. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Wise Human. Until next time. If you enjoyed this episode or found value in it, I invite you to leave a 5-star review, or share with a friend. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. Thank you, beautiful human, so much for helping spread the word. Blessings to you. Until next time.